What's up and welcome back. And we're still hopefully in Oscar season somehow. And I do get some screener invites and stuff like that, and I got one for this film and it was in San Francisco and I laughed. And I was like, "Thank you, but I'm not flying to San Francisco." But the information did include and reminded me that this film does exist. I did see that it was shortlisted for documentary short, and I wanted to go ahead and see it. It was actually one of the titles that when I saw it listed, I was like, "Oh, that sounds like something I want to see." So MTV Films reminded me that this is on Paramount Plus. It is the ABCs of book banning, and it's on Paramount Plus right now. Apparently, I just put in the title and it popped up. I don't ever remember seeing it float anywhere as like throughout the years being like, check this out, because it totally is something I would have clicked on. It's like, ooh, I like that. I watched Painkiller, a thing about the Tylenol murders, and I wasn't even that interested in on Paramount Plus. Of course I would have watched this. Sadly, it doesn't have audio description. It is a documentary short, though, so it's not long, so you're sitting for 20 minutes, but it is something that you will notice it does not have audio description. Short films, I would love for you guys to be accessible. I know it's weird because your distribution is weird, and I kind of have to look at what happens to you. Where do you go? Well, this one is apparently MTV Films and it's sitting on Paramount Plus, so I'm not really so much mad at the original production team as I am MTV Studios and Paramount Plus for not realizing that talking about talking about making things inaccessible while also making your film inaccessible is just slightly ironic, just a little bit. I'd just like to point that out that, the film is about, you're taking these things away from us and we're not able to read them and we can't look at the books and we don't have it's kind of the same thing when we don't have audio description for films. We kind of can't access them, kind of like the kids can't access the books. Then again, I just found out that there's a film that's actually about somebody who works in audio description that doesn't have audio description, which blows my mind. So, just absolutely. I can't remember what the film's called. It's a Japanese film. But yeah, so we have to thought. That's all we need in the world is just some thought put into things. But yeah, obviously I'm here for this. I think that taking the books away from kids is stupid. And a lot of the books that they're taking away are stupid. The fuck are we taking away the Diary of Anne Frank for? Were you ruined for it? like these parents are like, we're ruining our kids by letting them read the diary. You read the Diary of Anne Frank. Are you are you fucked up? What are you trying to say? Like, these are the books that you read when you were growing up. These aren't even new. I could understand maybe trying to tackle like the brand new ones. Like, oh, did you see what was written in 2022? Oh my god. But to go after books that you read when you were in school just really makes you look like an asshole. I mean, that's really where you're losing people in the whole like, let's take these books out of school conversation. Is you're like, "It's good enough for me, but it's not good enough for my kids. My kids are only gonna read Clifford the Big Red Dog until they graduate. Fuck all of you." And then they storm out of these meetings. And just like, oh, all right. That woman is highly caffeinated. And this film uses little kids to tell the story, and they think it's stupid as hell. And so they're calling out the adults. They're like, the fuck is your problem? And I love it. Unfortunately, there are several times throughout the film where obviously the film is trying to show us the books that are being banned or like statistics about being banned. It clearly is like leaving time for text on screen And there are times where so there's almost like that it's like that judge gavel sound where it's like you know, where obviously like an image is being like shown up on screen and it's like, I don't know what that is. I don't know what book that is. It's obviously probably a book. I mean, I do have a brain. I don't know what book it is that you're trying to like wow me with because there's no audio description here. But if you just threw up Charlotte's Web, I can't be shocked by it because I'm blind. You know, kind of like the same thing when we're talking about, making sure that children can read. We should also make sure they have Braille books for blind kids. Also, just thought access to Braille libraries would be. I mean, there's like a whole thing here that we could all just really just get into a conversation about. This film has a heart in its right place, but it's funny that we talk about having access to things while this film is also inaccessible and largely probably several of these books don't have Braille copies, and if there were to be a blind kid at the library and they wanted to check out one of these books, it's really unlikely that there's a Braille section at their school. So, yeah, it's it's a thing that I think about when this film is going on. But I do love the fact that they got these kids. I needed more of that. Again, I don't know that this could have been a feature. I'm glad that it was just kind of like a short. A couple times adults try to come in and talk about things, and that's when it just feels like, you can't really accuse kids of being political because they don't conceptually understand a lot of the whole, I don't know, wokeisms and everything we're arguing about nowadays. But they do look at certain things and they're like, why did you ban the book about Rosa Parks? Like, do you not like her? What's the problem with Rosa Parks? Like, they legitimately want to know what your problem with Rosa Parks is. And they're not stupid. It's like they know who these people are. I love that multiple times there are kids that are able to identify things about sexuality, and these kids are like 10, and they know every letter of LGBTQ. I mean, like, the one girl did all the letters and was like, oh, okay, she knows all of them by heart. Good for her. So much for, her not being able to conceptually understand what this stuff is and be able to process it. I think your kids are smarter than you give them credit for, and they are able to have a greater range of emotional concepts than we're willing to really admit. Let them read. You read this shit. I read this shit. I had to read Lord of the Flies as a kid. You know what I'm saying? I had to read some of the weirdest books that you're like, why would you give this to kids? Oh, to expand their horizons. That's why. It's education. I forgot. Of course it's not fun. The fun stuff aren't the books we assign. The kids want to read Harry Potter. It's not the literary classic that we want them to get, necessarily growth out of. We want them to read To Kill a Mockingbird, because maybe they'll learn something about a period that they don't live in that used to happen, and some thoughts and some ideas, and can spark some conversation. And it's a literary classic, and it's a literary classic that teacher who's standing in front of the class read when they were in school. But now we're trying to tell the kids they can't read it. It's an excellent film. And it doesn't have audio description. It has a lack of accessibility problem, which is really a problem for Paramount Plus and MTV Studios. I don't know if you attend an actual screening, if I'd actually flown to San Francisco to watch a 20-minute short film that it would have had audio description for me, but we can have a whole other conversation about having audio description on screeners and the general assumption that there are no blind voters in any voting body, because I'm one. They exist because I exist, and I'm a voting member for an awards body. So when you don't provide me with accessibility, it makes it really hard for me to choose your movie. because I didn't fully get it and understand it. And that's the risk that you run by not providing accessibility in a film about providing accessibility to books. So this film has its heart in the right place. I'm going to do it a favor, and I don't want to say it's unwatchable. I did this with a Coda Nation versus the United States, and because I believed in the film, I believed in what it had to say. It did not have audio description, and I believed it was a profound documentary that actually, that documentary is structured better. If for it to not have audio description, it's basically a lot of narration anyway and a lot of explaining. This one is not. So instead of grading this one, I'm just not going to grade it. I don't want to say the word unwatchable, because I would like to encourage people to watch this, because then at least you can hear the little kids talking about the banning of books and what they think about it. And I think it's hilarious. And these are some of the wisest children, and our future is bright if these kids end up running the world. But the people who are making the decisions for them, not so much. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. I have a website, macmovieguy.com. I want to continue to talk about audio description in front of the most people I can, so please subscribe. And you can go to the Audio Description Project, adp.acb.org. It'll let you know what has audio description and where you can watch it. And you can go to the ADNA.org. That's the ADNA.org. It'll let you know who's narrating your favorite films and television series. That's it for me today. I'll review something else and see you guys on the other side.